back to the Daily Show. Tonight was the season finale of the January 6 hearings, the TV event that investigated the day a mob of MAGA maniacs tried to help Mike Pence meet his hero. So, with phase one of the hearings coming to a close, let's catch up on the latest developments in our ongoing coverage of January 6. After weeks of televised hearings, we're learning a lot about what happened on January 6 and the days that led up to it. We learned that Donald Trump was told by his closest advisors that the election wasn't stolen. We also learned that he set up a fake election defense fund that took millions of dollars from his supporters. We also learned that he knew his crowd was armed that day and still sent them to the Capitol anyway. And after all of this, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to think this Donald Trump guy might be bad news. I'm seeing like 1 or 2 red flags here. And I'm not the only one, because remember how we learned in those hearings about how Trump tried to get Mike Pence to single-handedly toss out the election results? You remember that part? Yeah? Well, a bipartisan group of senators has decided that shit should never happen again.
Here in Washington, a bipartisan group of senators have cut a deal that would make it much tougher to pull off a repeat of what former President Trump tried to do, that effort to pressure his vice president into overturning the election. One measure would reform the Electoral Count Act to make it clear that the VP's job is, quote, solely ministerial, and that he or she does not have any power solely to determine, accept, reject, or otherwise adjudicate disputes over electors.
Wow, this is big. This is big. Senators from both parties have agreed to amend the Electoral Count Act of 1887 to make it clear once and for all that the VP cannot just toss out the election results. Which, yes, is something everyone in America already knew except for one guy. You know? It's kind of like when in kindergarten the teacher makes an announcement to the whole class, but it was clearly directed at one kid. You know, it's like, okay, class, remember, we don't poop on the toilet, we poop in the toilet. That's for everyone to understand, okay, Donald? It was obvious to everyone else that the vice president can't just throw out the election results. That would make no sense. Why would you give so much power to someone who's otherwise totally powerless? Huh? It would be like handing over control of America's drones to whichever kid wins the national spelling bee. It's what the founders wanted. But either way, this is a big deal. And it's also a good reminder for America that if an old-ass law doesn't make sense anymore, you can just change that shit. Right? And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's because people in the day were stupid. No, people back in the day were smart as hell. All right? They studied the classics. They knew how to write in cursive. They wore top hats, all the signs of an intelligent person. But they wrote the laws that made sense for their time. Huh? Yeah, they didn't need to spell this out because they didn't have a Donald Trump. So that law's changed. The vice president can't just overturn the election. And knowing America, and whoever writes this story, what's going to happen is Donald Trump's going to get all his people to become the electors in each state. They're going to ignore the voters' rights, and they're going to go, these are the votes, and then it's going to come to Kamala Harris and be like, Kamala, flip the thing. She's like, meh. But it looks like overturning the next election might be the least of Donald Trump's worries, because after all the facts that the committee has exposed about his last overturning, the Justice Department might be paying Donald a visit.
The spotlight on the Justice Department's investigation is growing. Attorney General Merrick Garland making it clear he will hold accountable every person who is criminally responsible.
No person is above the law in this country. Nothing stops us. I don't know how to, maybe I'll say that again. No person is above the law in this country. I can't say anything more clearly than that.
I've never seen that side of Merrick Garland. It looked like he was about to cut a bitch. Did you see what he did there? Yeah, he turned into Samuel L. Jackson for a second. He's like, no person is above the... What about the American? He's like, what part of no person don't you understand, motherfucker? I said no person.